What's going on YouTube? So the Subaru Crosstrek has long been a very important and very popular model for the Subaru brand, and it's easy to see why. It's always had nice style, capability, and a good price tag. But one thing it's been missing up until now with this generation is an efficient hybrid powertrain. This is the new Subaru Crosstrek Hybrid, and we want to know, is this the ultimate efficient small crossover? Let's go ahead and find out. Let's start out here with our spec dump. So under the hood of this Crosstrek Hybrid, you'll find a 2.5 liter boxer 4-cylinder engine with 2 electric motors and a 1.1 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery pack. This makes 194 horsepower. It's paired to an eCVT. Of course, you retain your standard mechanical symmetrical all-wheel drive system, and combined fuel economy is 36 mpg.
Now the base price for the hybrid Crosstrek is a little under $34,000, and if you're looking to buy one or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price.
But let's go ahead and close up the hood because we need to take a look at the exterior design as well as the unique elements in the inside. So jumping right in with the exterior design. This version of the Crosstrek has always had a very handsome look, and with the addition of the hybrid trims, this is not really going to be changing for 2026. You'll notice that same kind of aesthetic going on, the simple Subaru grille up here in the front, and plenty of the rugged cladding here to show this is pretty capable. Now, one thing to know about the hybrids is that they're only available in 2 different trims for this Crosstrek. It's going to be the Sport trim and the Top Dog Limited trim. We're with the Limited trim today. Now, as we move over here to our headlights, you'll see we have standard full LED adaptive headlights, a very premium look to these. You also have an LED daytime running light and an LED turn signal. Plus, as we move down here to the lower fascia, we have LED fog lights. One place you can distinguish between the Hybrid Sport and the Hybrid Limited is that the Sport will have a yellow accent around the fog light. Now moving on to the wheels, the hybrid trims have a special 18-inch alloy. It's going to be this same design but with 2 different finishes. The Sport will be a full gloss black. As you can see, the Limited gets the special contrast design with kind of the pinwheel look overall. Obviously, you've got some cladding that goes around the wheel arches. Black hybrid badging will be here on the doors as well as in the back. And we also have a gray finish up here on our mirrors. By the way, both hybrid models come standard with blind spot monitoring and heating.
Now at the side of the Crosstrek, the overall length is 176.4 inches, which does mean that this is a pretty good size for the segment. And also we have blacked out window surrounds and raised roof rails up here at the top. Now you may be noticing that this color looks very unique, and this is a new color for the hybrid models. There are 2 exclusive colors. This is known as Sand Dune, and there is also a very bright yellow color if you'd prefer to choose that as well. Now as we move around to the back of the Crosstrek Hybrid, once more, it is your typical Crosstrek look. So they didn't change a ton with the design, but I think that's definitely a good move because it's a very attractive subcompact SUV. We have a spoiler up here at the top. We keep the rear window wiper. And let's take a look at our taillights. So our taillights are going to be partially LED. So you have an LED brake light, an incandescent reverse light, an incandescent turn signal indicator. That is not changing for the hybrid models. And then as we drop down to the lower fascia, a lot more body color as well as a little bit of the rugged trim through here. And as far as your tow rating is concerned, this model can tow up to 1,500 pounds in the hybrid varieties. Now, one of the things I love about this model is the fact that you get every active safety feature as standard equipment. That will continue for the 2026 models. That will also include a few extra goodies, such as rear auto braking on your higher end examples. And new for 2026, you have a driver focus system on your limited varieties. But guys, now we need to go ahead and check out the interior because there are some changes for the hybrid in there. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then, we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
And if you want to know about all the latest and greatest rides, then make sure to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the newest cars. All right, now let's move to the interior. Here's the key fob. Of course, this is Subaru's typical key fob. You have a smart entry system on both hybrid trims. That means to get inside, just grab behind the handle. That will unlock the door. And then let's take a look at the interior. As you can see, it's got that typical Subaru design for the most part, but let's go ahead and kind of jump right into some of those differences you'll see with the hybrid versions versus the standard gas-powered versions. So first of all, what you're looking at is called the StarTex leatherette. That's going to be on both hybrid versions. So that means that the limited gas has real leather, and then the limited hybrid, this has the StarTex. As you can see, we've got this contrast design. So we have a black and gray finish. We also have the exclusive yellow stitching that runs through the sides there. And overall, this feels very soft and supple and quite premium in overall comfort. The other thing to note is that the seats have power adjustment. Normally the Sport with the gas engine would not have power adjustment, but that is standard on both of the hybrid trim levels. There's no memory seats on any of the versions though. Let's go ahead and climb inside. Now getting into the other cabin materials, we'll start over here with the door trim. You'll find more of the leatherette kind of over here with the stitching detail, and up through here we have a faux carbon fiber. And then as we move to the top part of the dashboard, these sections will be hard touch, although it is soft over here on this side. We have a textured trim in that gray finish that moves through here, more of the carbon fiber trim. And then down here in the lower panels, it will be hard touch, but everything does feel very solid and durable, which is typical for Subaru models. Now let's fire it up with the standard push button start. And let's jump right into the gauge cluster as our first feature of the interior to highlight, because this is actually exclusive to just the two hybrid trim levels. You're looking at a 12.3-inch full digital cluster. Again, not available on the gas-powered versions of this at all. And you can customize a few different things with the overall design. It definitely looks a lot more modern than that traditional Subaru gauge cluster. Now, as we move back to the steering wheel, you'll find a leatherette wrapping. This steering wheel is also manual tilt and telescoping, and the limited version has heating. And then as we take a look next at the interior storage, this model has always been packaged quite well. That doesn't change for the hybrid version. When we open this up, well, we get the surprise of some trash inside. But you can see it easily fits. It looks like 3 crumbled up water bottles. We don't have any donuts though. I apologize for that. Today we're out in the middle of nowhere, Washington, and we weren't able to bring the donuts with us. But we will do the donut test when we have one back home in Kentucky instead of the crumpled bottle test. Now here's a couple more bottles of water, and then we also have a big old wireless phone charging pad and pretty decent amount of storage. Now, as far as the shifter is concerned, just a traditional style, pull back for drive, bump over here to the left if you want to do some simulated gear changes. And then when we go into reverse, this is a feature I definitely want to highlight because this is new to the Crosstrek period for 2026. Only this limited hybrid can option on a 360-degree camera system for the very first time. So that's what that's going to look like. I do think they probably could have made better use of the screen real estate, though, because they really have compressed that into a very small amount of the display, and it's pretty distorted over here with the regular view. The overhead view looks fine. Yeah, they could have done a little bit better with that, but it is nice that they still have a 360 camera offered. Of course, P is for park there, and we also have an electronic parking brake with auto brake hold. Now, off to the side of the shifter, you'll find your toggles for the heated seats. That's standard on both of the hybrid trim levels with 2 stages. No ventilation is offered. And then as we look at the general climate controls here, we have physical adjustments for the dual zone automatic setup over here on both sides of the display. The other types of settings are inside of the screen itself. As far as the screen itself, this is 11.6 inches. It's, again, standard on both of the hybrid trim levels, and it has Subaru's Starlink infotainment system. We have the built-in navigation here on the top trim. You'll always have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay as well. And then you can get to various different vehicle functions inside of that little vehicle there. Also, we have physical volume and tune knobs. Since we have the limited, that will give us the 10-speaker Harman Kardon sound system, which is a very impressive sound system for this segment of vehicle for sure. Now, as far as our mirror, we've got a manual dimming one. You can get a accessory one with the auto dimming. And then we'll slide back the sunroof here. So this is one of the few options for this model. It is part of that option package with the other thing I was mentioning earlier, and it's the traditional style with a nice sunshade.
And let's talk about the rear seats for the Crosstrek Hybrid. Now, when it comes to the rear seat area, you're not sacrificing anything for choosing the Hybrid, so we're still going to have really good space numbers. We're sitting at about 36.5 inches of legroom and 38 inches of headroom. Those are, like I said, pretty good for this segment of vehicle. Certainly, some of the options can be very small. This does not feel very small here in the rear. Now, of course, I brought along the official Car Confections ruler. The reason I did that is so we can get a realistic knee room figure. From behind Drew's 5'8" driving position, I'm 5'9" for reference. We're looking at 6.5 inches of knee room. So that's pretty decent for this segment. Also, my feet can slide up underneath of the seats. And then when it comes to the seats themselves, they do not recline. So that is something worth noting, although I do find them quite comfortable back here. Now, if I fold down the armrest, we have 2 cup holders inside. And then as far as other features, we don't have any vents or anything like that, but we do have 2 charging USB ports. That's going to be included on your higher end examples for the 2026 Crosstrek lineup. Then over on the door trim, it's hard touch on this upper part and through the middle section. However, we have a nice leatherette pad for our armrest. We also have a little bit of door storage down below. Now, walking up to the tailgate, it's going to be manual opening on all versions of the Crosstrek, including this limited hybrid. And as far as space is concerned, I think that's, of course, a big element. You know, when it comes to a hybrid, does it sacrifice some of your cargo capacity? And I'm happy to tell you that it really doesn't sacrifice it much at all. So we're sitting at around 19 cubic feet of cargo capacity behind the second row of seats and 51 cubic feet behind the front seats with those seats folded down. That does represent about a 4 cubic foot reduction in overall cargo capacity as compared to the traditional gasoline version. So that's something worth noting, but it's really not a huge difference. So I think the vast majority of you guys won't really notice it at all. And speaking of, cargo capacity, and if that matters a lot to you, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. The reason you do that is because we've looked at all the numerous subcompact offerings in this segment and ranked them in individual categories such as cargo capacity, so you can see your best options and sort based on that. You can also sort based on things like interior technology and powertrain choices. So if you want to make an informed buying decision, definitely go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings to do that. Now back to the Crosstrek, you will notice that in order to fold the seats down, it's real easy. All you do is grab that little strap right there, and that will allow the seats to fold 60-40 split, and then that will give you your maximum cargo capacity. And now that I've got those seats folded all the way down, let's get our cargo length, width, and height figures. So as far as cargo length behind Drew's 5'8" driving position, we're looking at 66 inches of length from behind the second row of seats, 31 inches. Opening is going to come in at 40 inches, and then overall height is sitting at about 26 inches. So it's not super tall. And then let's also get your load-in height as well, 31 inches tall. Now, there are some differences when it comes to the underfloor area. Of course, this is a hybrid, so actually some of your battery components are located here in the rear, so that does mean that you do not have a spare tire on this version. So that is definitely something worth noting that might matter to you.
So let's get into some more details about the powertrain situation with this Crosstrek hybrid, as well as the entire lineup. So one thing I want to point out is actually that the base engine, the 2-liter 4-cylinder, has been completely discontinued for the 2026 model year. So you no longer will have that at all. You're down to the 2 powertrains. So you have the 2.5-liter boxer 4-cylinder, and then this hybrid system, which is a 2.5-liter boxer 4-cylinder with 2 electric motors and a 1.1 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery pack. Now together, this is producing 194 horsepower, which is up 14 horsepower over the standard 2.5 boxer 4-cylinder with 180 horsepower. Now, as far as other elements to discuss, you have an eCVT for the hybrid models, but the important thing about this is that it retains real symmetrical all-wheel drive. So it's a mechanical all-wheel drive system. A lot of the competition for this model will have either a part-time all-wheel drive system or a all-wheel drive system that just uses a separated electric motor. So that should give you additional capability off-road. Now, as far as the fuel economy, I'm sure you're definitely wondering about that. This is rated at 36 miles per gallon city, 36 highway, and 36 combined, so very simple to understand. And one of the cool things about this is that it actually has the same size fuel tank as the traditional gas model. So you're setting at 16.6 gallons, meaning that the fuel range on this will be very high as compared to the gas models, as well as a lot of the rivals, which downsize the fuel tank capacity to as low as 10 point something gallons in the Corolla Cross. And then Subaru also says that they're adding additional sound deadening to the hybrid versions. Now, we can't wait to put all those things to the test. We'll show you the performance, check out the sound level reading and everything, but we can't do that just yet because there is a driving impressions embargo in place until the date you see down below, when we'll be able to share our driving impressions for this model. Obviously, it is a big part of it, kind of seeing the performance of this versus the traditional gasoline model. And like I said, we do look forward to giving you that as soon as that date down below. So make sure to stay tuned to the channel.
Now let's talk pricing for the Crosstrek. So when it comes to this, the hybrid does demand a bit of a higher starting price than the other versions because, like Drew said, it's only available in 2 trim levels, at least here at launch. So the Sport model starts at a hair under $34,000, $33,395. The limited hybrid is $34,995, so a little bit under $35,000. Now, do also keep in mind that you do have an option package on this model. So, what we're looking at today is the 26 Crosstrek Limited Hybrid. That's our base price. We have a $1,600 options package. The paint is extra. $1,420 destination. We're sitting at $38,410 as tested today, which pretty much does represent the top-end price point for this subcompact segment. I don't have this official sticker or anything, but the VIN does begin with J. This vehicle is manufactured in Japan, if that matters to you. And if you're looking to buy a new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool to use while dealer negotiating. If you'd like to take advantage of that, as well as things like our monthly payment tool, you can find a link to that in our video description down below, as well as a pinned comment. But buying a vehicle is about more than just the original MSRP, so let's dive into resale and reliability. First up, let's talk about resale value. As an economics graduate myself, we took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Subaru Crosstrek's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, the Subaru will be worth 63.03% of original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 23.7%. Now, it's worth noting those are really good resale values. It's actually the third best brand. It's only behind Toyota and Honda, so really excellent resale value.
Now, we've also done the same for reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several studies from trustworthy sources and combines them in a way that gives you a holistic picture. In this regard, Subaru is rated above the overall industry average.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale values, our reliability data, or our methodology, be sure to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a new vehicle is a big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. Now, when it comes to your warranty, you have a 3-year 36,000-mile basic warranty and a 5-year 60,000-mile powertrain warranty. And guys, that wraps up our in-depth review of the all-new 2026 Subaru Crosstrek Hybrid. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decision, which we hope you did, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to be a part of our Car Confections family, and we have a lot of fun on this channel, and I promise you won't want to miss out. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.